Now we're going to move on to double final consonants. Earlier we only learned final consonants in which the character only has one final consonant, but there are certain characters with double final consonants, meaning to say they have two final consonants, as you can see in this example over here. There's one final consonant over here and one final consonant over here. For Korean characters with a single final consonant, they are easier to read because all you need to do is to produce the sound of that single final consonant in that particular character. So the real question here right now is, how are we going to read characters with double final consonants? Just like for characters with a single final consonant, double final consonants, they do have reading rules as well. And I'm going to use the next few slides to explain these reading rules to all of you. The first point that you need to understand about double final consonants is that just like single final consonants, they will take up the space below the character. In this example, you see R on top. If I were to write another character with a single final consonant, it will look something like this. And that final consonant will take up the space of the character below. However, if you need to write double final consonants, the space below will be equally divided between the two final consonants, like this. Also, there's another point that I need all of you to remember, is that there are only 11 combinations of double final consonants, and they're all shown in this slide. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Any other combinations outside these 11 combinations do not exist in the Korean language, so do not make up double final consonants on your own. As a word of advice, I do not recommend for you to memorize these 11 combinations right now. In fact, there is no need to remember all these combinations, because when you start memorizing vocabulary words, you will naturally remember the double final consonant that is unique to that vocabulary word. So please don't memorize all these 11 combinations. In fact, let me spend a few seconds talking about the word that you can see in the middle. This word over here means sit in Korean. Now, how do you think I should pronounce this word? To a person who has just started learning Korean, I believe he or she will find it very, very difficult to figure out how to read this word without the knowledge of some reading rules. In fact, this word is pronounced as anta. Anta. Once I've taught you all the reading rules with regards to double final consonants, all of you should be able to read characters with double final consonants with ease. To help you understand better and for me to teach better as well, I've grouped these 11 combinations into two main groups, and the two groups are going to be separated by this red box over here. Let me just remove all the markings on the slide so you can see the two groups better. So the group on the left is this group over here. This is group 1, and this is group 2. As you can see, group 2 is a smaller group which consists of only 3 double final consonants. Later I'll introduce a simple way to differentiate between these two groups. Alright, we'll jump straight into learning the reading rules. I'm going to deal with the first group on the left first. And for the next few slides, I want all of you to also take note that the acronym DFC stands for double final consonant. Okay, now let's look at a sentence that you see on top over here. It says, if the character after the DFC character starts with a simple consonant, or if the DFC character is on its own, you are supposed to read the first consonant. Okay, what do I mean by first consonant? As you can see, there are two consonants in the double final consonants, right? And they're placed next to each other. If the one on the left is the first and the one on the right is the second, you're supposed to read the first consonant like this. Now let me explain using an example. This word was used as an example in the previous slide, and I said that this word is pronounced as anta. Now let's break down the reading rule slowly. Let's read the sentence one more time. If the character after the DFC character, which is this character over here, if this character, which is after the DFC character, starts with a simple consonant. Can you see the simple consonant here? Or if the DFC character is on its own. This is an example of a word on its own. You read the first consonant. And the first consonant for this example, example 1, which is the first consonant? This is the first consonant, right? And it's this consonant that we've learned before. The consonant that makes a n sound, right? So that is why the word in example 1 is pronounced as anta. You notice that I pronounce an ta. I ignored this consonant over here, and straight away I pronounced as anta. And then your next question might be, but this character over here is ta, not ta. This is your tensed sound. Why is it anta and not anta? And the answer to the question is because we need to be able to differentiate between characters with double final consonants and characters with only a single consonant. In fact, if I were to write an, ta, this word here means embrace. So therefore, if I were to say anta to a person listening, he will know that I'm talking about the anta in example 1 and not this anta, which means to embrace. Okay, now let's look at example number 2. Since this character is on its own, I want all of you to guess, how should I be reading this character? This character is pronounced as knock. Knock. Do notice that I actually chose this consonant to read, and I ignored the second consonant over here. And this is how you should be applying your reading rules to characters with double final consonants. If you see characters with these combinations, and the character after these characters either start with a simple consonant or they are on its own, then you should just read the first consonant. In fact, the word in example 2 means soul. Once again, this character is pronounced as knock. You pronounce the top and then the bottom, but you only read the first consonant according to this reading rule. Let's move on to the next reading rule. Now we're going to talk about the second group, the group on the right. Same thing, I want you to take a moment to read the sentence in the middle. Okay, I hope you understood the sentence. The sentence says, if the character after the DFC character starts with a simple consonant, or if the DFC character is on its own, then you should read the second consonant. Now I'm going to explain this reading rule in the same way as I did before with examples. This word over here means to read, and this character is pronounced as ikta. Notice that for the pronunciation, I chose the consonant on the right side and I ignored the consonant on the left side. Why is that so? Because according to the reading rule, if the character after the DFC character, which is this character over here, starts with a simple consonant, I need to read the second consonant, which is this one over here. Now what if the character is on its own? I want all of you to try to read this character over here. How would you read this character after knowing the reading rule? I hope all of you read this character as ta. Ta. Once again, since this DFC character is on its own, all I need to do is to read the character while reading only the second final consonant, which is this consonant over here, ignoring the consonant on the left. So therefore, it is pronounced as tak. In fact, this word means hen. Okay, I hope that the explanations were clear so far. Now, earlier I mentioned I'm going to help you to differentiate between these two groups easily. So here's what I figured out. All you need to memorize are these three combinations of double final consonants. I want all of you to remember three words: Lego, Romeo, and Reaper. In fact, this Reaper is the Grim Reaper. How are these three words going to help you? Lego, if you write it in Korean, Lego, Romeo, Reaper. You'll notice that for each combination, the double final consonants coincide with each word. Lego, Romeo, and Reaper. Like this. So, next time when you come across a Korean character with a double final consonant, look at the double final consonants first. Then think of the three words that I've just taught you: Lego, Romeo, and Reaper. If your two consonants turn out to be an acronym of any of the three words that you've just learned, then you will need to read the second character. If the character comes after a simple consonant, or if it's on its own. And if you come across other Korean characters with double final consonants that do not coincide with these three words that you've just learned, then these combinations actually belong to the first group on the left. And following the reading rule that you have just learned in the previous slide, if you come across a character with combinations of the first group on the left, you are supposed to read the first consonant if the character after that starts with a simple consonant, or if it's on its own. I hope that this small little tip can help you in the long run as you continue learning Korean. Now there's just one more reading rule that you need to learn, so just bear with me for a while. Now in the previous two slides, we dealt with situations when the DFC character is either on its own or when the character after that starts with a simple consonant. This last reading rule will address the situation when the character after the DFC character actually starts with an empty consonant. Reading this sentence over here, if the character after the DFC character starts with an empty consonant, you are supposed to read both consonants. Now you must be wondering, how the heck am I supposed to read both consonants? Am I supposed to combine both sounds together and start a tongue twister on my own? No, that is not what it means to read both consonants. In fact, let me just explain this reading rule using examples. Over here, we have a phrase, and in fact, this phrase means to sit. In fact, this is the same word that we have learned before, anta. I hope you can remember the word anta that we have seen 2 slides before. When we say anta, this word is just a vocabulary word. It is not put into a sentence. But the moment we transform anta into something like this, we have successfully changed the word anta, which is just a single word, into a sentence. Now my next question is, how are you going to read this example over here? Let's call this example number 1. How are you going to read this phrase here? Take a moment to read the reading rule and guess the pronunciation for this phrase. This phrase is pronounced as 앉아요. Let me just erase that marking over there so you can see it clearly. 앉아요. So then, to demonstrate what it means to read both consonants, it's very easy. Start by reading the top an. And just like what we have learned in single final consonants, if the word after the character starts with an empty consonant, you can actually bring over the final consonant. An, ja, yo. Do you see that? 앉아요, which means to sit. So let's go back in time and remove all these markings. And imagine you're looking at a word like this. Straight away, I want you to zoom in on this character over here and realize that this character starts with an empty consonant. Then recall this reading rule over here. As long as it starts with an empty consonant, read both consonants. It doesn't matter whether it belongs to this group over here or if it belongs to this combination of double final consonant over here, just like in this example. I've chosen these two examples because they are words from the two different groups that we've been talking about. Now I'm going to erase all the markings on the screen. Let's look at the example on the right, and let's call this example 2. Notice that this combination coincides with the three words that I've learned, right? Lego, Romeo, and what's the last one? Repop. And because of that, if this character is alone, or if the character after starts with a simple consonant, you should read the second consonant. However, the character after that actually starts with an empty consonant. So straight away, forget about the first two rules that I've learned about double final consonants and read both consonants. You can bring this final consonant over to take up the space of the empty consonant in the character after. So how would you read this phrase over here? This phrase is pronounced as 읽어요. Alright? I'm going to demonstrate how I read it. Start from the top. 일. Go down this way. 일. Okay, 일. Bring the second consonant over. 읽어요. One more time. 읽어요. Do you see that? I read both the consonants. This is what it means by reading both consonants, not combining both together and combining the sounds together. Like what I've said before, this is a phrase put into a sentence. If I were to break down this word to its really basic form and change it back into a vocabulary word, the word is actually just 읽다. Notice that I chose to read this consonant over here because, remember, this is a simple consonant, and since this is a combination of double final consonants that coincide with my Lego, remember Lego? Lego. I will read my second consonant. 읽다. Like that. Now at this point I have to congratulate all of you because we have officially finished everything we're supposed to learn for Hangul. So give yourself a pat on the back if you managed to survive all the way till now. But before we end this lecture, like what I always do in other lectures, let's do a quick review. I'm going to flash a character in the middle and I want you to read the character out loud, and after that I'll tell you how the character is pronounced. 앉아요. 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 돈. 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 영화. 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 옷, 옷, 옷. 읽다, 읽다, 읽다. 읽어요, 읽어요, 읽어요. 봄, 봄, 봄. 안다, 안다, 안다. 과일, 과일, 과일. Alright, congratulations on officially learning everything you need to know about Hangul. From this point onwards, you should be able to read every single Korean character that you come across, which also means that if you want to start learning Korean, it's going to be much easier for you. Now at this point, if you're still not very familiar with Hangul, I encourage you to practice more. Make sure that Hangul comes to you very, very naturally. The moment you see a Korean character, you're able to read and recognize that character. The next step from here is for all of you to start building up your vocabulary, learn some new vocabulary words whenever possible, and also pick up some grammar skills. I hope you have found my teachings useful and effective. If you do have feedback about my course, you can always drop me an email. I'm just going to leave my email at the bottom of the screen. Thank you for being such great students, and I will see all of you very, very soon.